Hi everyone. I have some stuff I wanted to say and I don't know where to put it all, so I'm just going to put it all into this episode and try to make it quick. So, sorry about all the randomness again. The first thing I wanted to say was this Instagram stuff is weird. Thank you to whoever, one of them is my wife, so for the other two people that are on, like, what are you? A friend of mine? Like a requested friend? Or did you subscribe? Or can you subscribe to Instagram? Like, what is that called? Like, what did you do to, like, get onto my page? Subscribe or something? I forgot what the name was. I'm sorry. It's very nice that you did that. Thank you so much. And I would love to have other people there too. As well, because I am trying to teach myself how to make some shit because I like to explain things to people, but I'm not like a Rachel Maddow explainer. I am like on a way smaller level than that. Like a barely middle class, autistic, 40-year-old, washed up person who tries to get words to come out of her mouth and make some sense as often as possible and as best as possible. I spent 3 hours today making a reel, and I bet you that there's some of you out there that can do that shit in like 3 minutes. I don't know. It took me so long, but I was determined to do it because I wanted to teach myself, because I want information about autism, like, especially late identified / diagnosed adult autism, to like make its way around the internet. So if you could share my stuff, that'd be great. But anyways, I'm not very proud of the reel I did. I'm proud enough that I posted it because I spent so long on it, but it's hard learning how to do this stuff. But it's important to me, so I'm trying to get better at it. But so there's that. And then the other thing is Alicia binged This Is Us in her next family show. She's like on to family shows. Her next one is Parenthood. And she's like, I don't know, a few seasons into that one. Has anybody ever seen Parenthood? I'm just going to say I totally forgot that there was a huge chunk of that show about a little white boy diagnosed with Asperger's. And it feels like half the show is about misinformation and let's like put all this attention on this like fucking white boy who's like, now he's so special, we all have to Atypical. Did you see that one on Netflix? Like, they're not Atypical. I was able to stomach that one. That one wasn't so bad, but that character Max in Parenthood, whoever the fuck wrote that character, and like all of that bullshit about Asperger's, which is really like autism, like what was wrong with you? Why? And I remember watching that show, and I do remember those scenes, and I didn't think twice about them because, like, why would I? I didn't have any need to know what autism was, you know what I mean? Like, it's just every other time I walk by her room or, like, I hear some scene with Max and lies being told about what they were calling his Asperger's, since that's what everybody called it back then. I don't know. It just really angered me. It made my brain do the thing that like misophonia does. So like as soon as I hear somebody eating, I fly into like a rage. Not literally, just inside my head and on my face. It shows that I'm pissed. And that's like what my brain does every time I hear Max. Anything that has to do with that fucking kid. So I just needed to say that out loud, that is just ew. That ew. And if you did not watch Parenthood, don't, because you're not missing anything. I mean, the other parts were fine, but like that part, ooh, that ruined the show. Like if I ever had any desire to rewatch Parenthood, which I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't, because of the Max thing. Like that just makes me angry that is not at all really what autism is. So there's that. Okay. What else did I want to say? So I was watching Apple last night, where I went onto Apple TV to look for something new to watch. And I, of course, found a documentary, and like, this might not, I just realized, I don't know how to word this. Maybe I shouldn't have recorded right now. Oh, well. I had mentioned last time that people are my special interest. I have always known this. I have always been fascinated with people, even though I like them from a distance. But like memoirs, I like to listen. The only audiobooks I really listen to are by autistic people or anybody else that wrote a memoir about themselves, like some celebrity, basically. And or I'll watch documentaries about people. For example, like there was one about the well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the one about Steve Martin that came out a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know about it. I just happened to see it on Apple, and I spent a few hours watching the documentary. There was 2 episodes, and it was so good. And I don't like Steve Martin's comedy. I mean, I love him in like Only Murders in the Building, but I am not a fan of his kind of comedy. I think it is so stupid. But at the same time, it's also brilliant. And I recognize that it's brilliant. I just don't view it as brilliant. Does that make any sense? So, yeah, like I have never thought twice about Steve Martin. But I saw a documentary. I'm like, oh, let me go see what the rating is. Oh, it's a good rating. That's okay. Not that many people rated it yet, but I'll still watch it. And it was so good. Oh my God, he's totally fucking autistic. And I don't think that's a big secret. People who know Steve Martin probably, and people who know of Steve Martin and know what real autism is probably figured this out. I didn't know how obvious it is to me that he's autistic. It was such a fascinating documentary. For anybody that hasn't watched it, you should watch it. I don't know, maybe if you feel like you have some time to spare on Steve Martin, give it a shot. Like, what the fuck, man? It was so good. There was this one part where he said that because he's obsessed with paintings and painters, he knows like different paintings, the names of the painters or the artists or whatever. He had said that at one point he lined up his paintings, just lined them up so that he could like admire them or like look at them, like lining them up, guys. Hello. And then he's also very, very private. I did not know this about Steve Martin because he seems like an extrovert, but totally not at all what I thought after I watched this documentary. Very private. He says he doesn't like to do like interviews very often, and him and his wife are private. She seems like autistic as well. People have called him weird throughout his entire life. His comedy, like when he was younger, was so fucking weird. It was just like bizarre. But that's what eventually got him famous. His friends that were talking about him on the documentary are very autistic. He collects a bunch of shit, like paintings, obviously. He has a whole collection of that to the point where, like, at one time, he devoted a whole room to his paintings. He says that, like, he used to overshare on, like, he would be on planes and would just start, like, sharing something personal with, like, the person sitting next to me and, like, not really realizing that's not really something you're supposed to do. So, I don't know. I just thought that was such a good documentary. And it was fascinating how autistic Steve Martin is. Like, I wish he was my friend. I did not know Steve Martin was that cool. And I like I don't know, I could go on and on about this documentary. I just will leave it at that. Like, that was so good. Time well spent, in my opinion. And yeah, so check it out. Another thing that I would like to mention, so this is pretty embarrassing, but I'm just going to say it anyways. So my wife, Alicia, she is, if you've been following along, she's doing trauma work. And so me being autistic, like, okay, I'm just going to be honest, like, we don't really have sex. Because she's doing trauma work and I'm pretty sure I'm asexual. Yes, I said that correctly. So there's that. I'm saying that out loud. And so usually time goes by if we haven't had sex or whatever. I'm like, I kind of feel bad because I'm like, oh, does she want to have sex or something? And she knows I don't, so she doesn't say anything. So, like, I had been like, hey, do you want to have sex? And like, finally, like, I'd offered a few times. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to say it how I'm going to say it. I offered up a few times, like, hey, you want some sex or something? Yes, I know it's not romantic. And she would keep turning me down. And then, like, finally I was like, I don't understand. Like, when am I supposed to know if you want sex or not? And she's like, I'm doing trauma work. And that and sex don't go together because, like, of her history. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why did I not put that together? Why did I not put that together? So I was like, oh, of course you're not going to want to have sex because you're doing, like, the trauma work. Sorry, I missed that huge detail. You know, like, I really felt so dumb. Ugh. But at the same time, I was like, yes, no sex. Yes, that's great for me because I don't like having sex. It's a waste of my time. But my wife likes it, so, you know. But anyways, so that was that conversation. That was like, what, 3 days ago? And I thought it was all cleared up. I left that conversation thinking to myself, she's not going to want to have sex for a very long time. And this is good news for me. So then it was like the other night. What was I doing? I was doing something like poking her boob or something, or like being dirty or something. I don't know. Our sense of humor is just very warped. But like, I remember I was like smacking her tit and I did something else. I forgot. And like, her mind interpreted those as like signs of me wanting to have sex or whatever, I think, or offering it to her or whatever. So like, we went to the bedroom and she's like, let's go have sex now. And I thought she was joking because she knows I don't like last minute rendezvous. I'm not like that anymore. And I thought she was joking. I was like, okay, so we go into the bedroom and like, I crawl up into the corner of my bed. I'm fully clothed. This bitch like just butt fucking naked, just strips and jumps into the bed. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, you're serious? And she's like, yeah. And she seemed like she was in a good mood because, guys, remember, she's getting better sleep now. This is just the first week. And I have not seen this much energy from her after work before. So that kind of caught me off guard. But like, she totally got naked. And this bitch, like, she won't do things that require effort, just like me. Like, unless there's like an absolute like, she wouldn't just take her clothes off because it's an effort for us to just dress ourselves again. So like, unless she really was expecting to have sex, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, so I'm just kind of like, I froze and I was like, I don't understand what's happening right now. And my mind knew that, like, duh, your wife is naked and she's like looking for some sex, I guess. But then my mind was back at that conversation and I was like, I don't understand. Like, this is mixed signals, or like, did our wires get crossed somewhere? Because you just told me the other night that you weren't having sex because of this, and now all of a sudden you think I'm trying to like come on to you or something, and then you want sex? Like, how did this happen? Oh my God, this is embarrassing. And she's like, well, sometimes, basically, you guys, I know sometimes people want to have sex and sometimes they don't. I am aware of how sex works. I used to like have it because, thought that's what you were supposed to do. And, but like, I'm fully clothed. So I was like, okay, I feel like we're not on the same level here. So I took my shirt off and that was it. God, I'm sorry. Somebody out there will benefit from this, I'm sure. And so like, I just took my shirt off and I'm like, that's as good as it gets. And then I was like, wait a minute, she's like really serious right now. And I was freaking out in my head because like, I did not plan for a sexcapade. I did not plan for that. I had other things that I was doing. So I can't just have spontaneous sex anymore because I'm me, I don't even like sex, but she does. And I have to make her happy. At least I want to make her happy. Oh my God. This is embarrassing. And so I just basically killed whatever mood there was because I was like, I'm confused. I felt like a broken record. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I don't understand. Are you for real? You're for real? Like, I was just like repeating myself. Like, I was in a great mood before that happened, and then I was totally thrown out of, and then basically we just did not have any sex, which was good for me, bad for her. And I said, sorry, but like, that's not how I understood the conversation the other night. So then I was like, pretty much this is your fault that I'm confused, because you're doing the opposite of what you said the other night. So I'm justified in my confusion. And therefore, this situation is not weird at all, right? So once she clarified for me that most of the time she's not going to want to have sex, but there will be times, I told her, okay, I'm on sex alert now. I'm on sex alert. And she's like, what does that mean? I can't believe I said those words, but like, I have to go with them now. They had already come out of my mouth. And I was like, I'll just be on sex alert. Like, I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, I am there for you. Like, I'm not looking to like be like, I mean, I'm just there for you is all I'm just gonna leave it at that, guys. I don't know what else to say about this other than this is an embarrassing thing to talk about, and I am serious. I am like, okay, I am on sex alert. Like, if she's got some time after work and she doesn't have class, I have to be prepared for the possibility that she's going to want to get naked, and that's going to throw a wrench in my day, but that's okay. Why can't I just be a person that likes sex? It's such a waste of time. But anyways, so that happened. And, you know, you would think that being with somebody for many, many years would make things, like, not awkward. But they're always awkward, I feel like. I don't know. I just feel like, why do I still feel so awkward about this? I don't know what to do about this sex situation, and we're just waiting until, like, we're really, like, through our communication issues, like, you know, for the most part, before we dive into the sex part in, like, couples therapy, because that needs a talking about. I need to know what to do with this, in this area. Okay, so, like, basically, is there anybody out there that is asexual or identifies as asexual, and you're with somebody, whether or not you're married, but like, are you with someone that is just a regular person about sex? Like, hey, I like to have sex. And, like, you don't, but you feel guilty that you're not meeting your partner's needs in the way that they would like you to. And, like, is this something that causes anxiety? Like, or I don't know. If you know what I'm trying to say, can you just email me and let me know that it's not just me? Like, logically, I know this isn't just me, but again, hearing from an actual human being has been so helpful when you guys email me. So it'd be great if somebody could just, like, actually, now that I think about it, I already have kind of talked about this with somebody. Yeah, how did I forget that? Because I'm autistic in my brain. No, I have talked about this with somebody, so I do know it's not just me. But you know what? I still would like to hear from more people. So, like, please, I'm serious. More people, more people, more people. More people, so that I can feel, like, great about myself. And the last thing I wanted to say was explaining your autism to somebody who knows you really well, who doesn't initially understand what you're trying to say, is hard. Now, do you know what I just said there? I don't know. So after work today, I made, like, some business cards. They're not really business cards, but, well, that's a story for another time. But I had to go pick up shit at Staples, and I wanted her to take me because I don't want to go in by myself. I don't know where to go to pick up these things I ordered. And so after work, we went to go and I got them. And then I thought maybe we would stop at Burger King to get, like, early dinner and then go home. So we went and picked up the cards, and then she wanted to go, oh my God, why am I forgetting all of a sudden where we went? Oh, crumble cookies. We stopped there because she wanted to get, like, there was a kind out that she wanted to get. And then after that, I thought we were, like, maybe going to go through the Burger King driveway, but, like, she wanted Chipotle, so we pulled into Chipotle. She's like, do you want anything? And I'm like, no, thank you. So she goes in to get her Chipotle. I'm in the car. And she comes out with her food. And, oh, we also went to Buff City. Sorry, my favorite island nectar. It's where I get my island nectar stuff. She surprised me with that. So we stopped there too. So we made extra stops I was not planning on. And then we had gone to Chipotle. And then she was like, okay, now let's go to Burger King or something. I'm like, no, let's not. Let's just go home. And she's like, well, why? And basically in her mind, she knows I don't like my food soggy. Like, I don't like the bread to get soggy. If I get takeout, like, I want to eat it relatively soon. I won't eat it in the car. That's like a whole thing. Sorry about that. That's like a whole other episode about how I eat my takeout food. Oh my God. But basically I said, I would just like to go home, please. And she's like, okay, but we can just go through the drive-thru. And I'm like, we've just made too many stops and I just want to go home. I was being serious. And so we get closer to where we're going to turn off on our road to go home. And Burger King's right up the way. And she's like, it's right here. Like, are you sure? And I'm like, did you hear what I said? And she's like, well, yes. And I'm like, do you understand, like, what I mean by that? And she did not. So I just was like, look, I'm not trying to be like a dick, but in my mind, we were leaving home to go pick up my cards and then maybe go somewhere else to get food. And then that was it. And then it turned into like 4 different stops. And I don't care if I'm sitting in the car. I don't care if I don't have anything that I have to do going through the drive-thru. I just don't want to do it. I want to go home as soon as possible. What's that all about? Well, I know what that's about. But yeah, and I really did want the Burger King, but I wanted to go home more. That was more important and I didn't care. So I think she kind of understands. And I was like, it really is like a thing. Like, I can't go now. And so we got home and she's like, do you want me to go back out? I'll go by myself and go for you. And of course I wanted her to do that, but I will never be like, yeah, go do that. Because this bitch worked all day, took me to Staples to pick up my bullshit, and then took me to like my favorite store and let me get some stuff. Like, she's my sugar mama, whatever. Maybe I'll be hers one day. And, so it was a lot. And I didn't want her to have to go back out again because she had class like less than 2 hours later. Man, what a hard life this is. So, yeah, I still haven't eaten anything because I can't figure out what I want to eat. And it's been hours after that. Okay, this is all I really wanted to say. I had to just get this out of my head. This last one I brought up because I kind of felt like she kind of understood me when I re-explained myself. Communication is hard. It is, I don't know. It just seems, I don't know how else to explain the way that I am to my wife. And I'm also finding out that when I engage in certain behaviors in the past, they were viewed on her end as like me being maybe bratty or, I don't know, attention seeking or something. But like, it's kind of interesting now when I find myself engaging in a specific behavior and like, I'm like, oh, this is what she used to think about this before. Let me re-explain this to her. And so like now she's got like, this is what's actually going on. You know how hard that shit is? And then like, I just wish I could just say something and then like she remembers it and then that's it. Or maybe I just don't know how to explain things very well. I don't know where I was going with this last one. I'm going to go ahead and end this episode now because I don't think it's going anywhere. I said all I needed to say. I'm on sex alert. So there's that. So I have to plan on 20 minutes because I don't know that I want to give any more time to that. Just got to plan on the possibility that 20 minutes of my day is going to be taken away from me. And that's okay. because, when you're married, you got to make some sacrifices, and sex is one of those. So, oh well. Looking forward to your emails. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.